So Big Jeff, lyrically, Brother Jay is dope. I mean, that's probably an understatement.
Respect from him.
What were you thinking at that time when you were listening to him spit and really and have a different flow too? Like,
yeah, I mean, he has this voice that's like magnetic and it's like real soothing, but it's real powerful.
right.
You know, and then, like I said, you combine the look and the African garb, and you can see that these brothers are real serious about what they're doing. This is not a joke to them. They're very proud of our African heritage, and they're very proud to, convey the message that, it's freedom or death. Like, we're not taking no shorts. Like, yes, crack was infiltrated into the community, but we're not going to continue to let our brothers and sisters get poisoned by, our government. And, I really feel like the crack movement is what really inspired, these brothers and, even, brothers before them like Rakim and KRS and Chuck D and Lakim Shabazz and people of that ilk and everything. And so, I mean, I always call them hip hop quotables, right? So, they just, certain things that he would say, like, about the mantis, deeper than the mantis, like, how could polar bears swing on vines with the gorillas? Like, like there was subtle messages in there going at certain things and certain people, and you just had to listen, certain messages, talking about brother, you must learn and things like that. So like, if you listen and you're a hip hop, head, you understand what's being said, that it's more than just someone just dropping lyrics. They're dropping science, and they're informing that not everything that you feel is great is great to them. And that's what's great, is that cats were willing to put it on the line and say, look, I don't necessarily feel your message. I'm not disrespecting you as a person, but this is how I feel in terms of like, okay, I don't think that your message is what reflects my message. And, that's how cats, it's not just X-Clan. There's a lot of cats over the years that have went at each other, and people say, oh, you're disrespecting that person. No, it's not. We're all brothers of the same mind, but it doesn't mean that we're, have the same vision. So in terms of, cats going at each other, it's not necessarily, you're not talking about, I'm gonna shoot you, or I'm gonna, I see you in the street, I'm gonna punch you in the face, or like I want to rob you or something like that. Cats would go at each other and say like, okay, well, you supposedly, a king, or you supposedly a teacher or whatever. Act accordingly.
Speak on that a little bit. The issues you had with KRS1 and how it got resolved. I mean, everybody heard that line. It was like, yo, and you even said it differently. Like, it's almost like you could see.
Yeah, it wasn't so much necessarily pointed at KRS-One. It was pointed at people who put the book system over the true and living science. If I read a book and look out the window and see people rallying for life, I'm not living out the situation. I can look above and take notes, but I'm not in it.
Right.
You feel me? If I take a humanist approach before I love my own people, it's open for me to transform into them rather than know myself fuller. So, when a brother like KRS, who has so much power, my elders were in my ear like, that brother needs to come more to our people instead of this humanist thing that he's trying to promote. They didn't see, humanism on that level at that time frame was almost like compromising yourself to a degree for some of the hard heads. See, I didn't know this as a young head. There are some people who are for the liberation, like no compromise. You feel me? That shuts a lot of doors down for us. So where KRS's vision, I'm sure in the earlier seeds of Temple of Hip Hop and traveling the world more than we were at the time, he's like, look, there's a lot more people out here that don't understand what we go through. And then my thing was, teach them what we go through. You know what I'm saying? You see somebody on TV saying, look, there's poor people in another country, throw your dimes or whatever. There's poor people in my hood, throw some money at them. You know what I'm saying? Help rebuild our school or whatever. So we was trying to say, hold out on the humanist thing and let's get clean first. So black people are not coming to the table of humanity dirty and goofy and coonish. Let's check our folks for it, especially if you have so much influence over them. Chris, to this day, still throws the best hip-hop show, homie. You know, I was a fan then, so, you know, I wasn't trying to set no beef. This wasn't a battle beef. And Bambaataa coming into it saying, look, we need to have a round table, kind of kill the battle side of it and let us sit down as brothers to let people know where we were coming from. Because immediately people were like, ooh, you testing one of the best lyricists in the city. You know
I
what
mean,
I'm
the
saying?
streets were talking. You know,
Talking
you
a
have
lot.
Black Watch out in Brooklyn, and then you have, you know, KRS, ICU, and all of them out in the Bronx. Like, you know, Bam came in and was like, no, before this gets out of hand and there's bloodshed and, you know, fisticuffs and, you know, a verbal spat. You know, he sat and mediated that between both groups.
Was that private was that public or private?
Well, it became public. Okay. It was private because, you know, Brooklyn going to the Bronx, we're not going up there with 3 Deep. We're going up there with the Fair. Right. So we in the city, you know, it looked like two gangs, just being real, coming together, having a parliament. Right. So, you know, with everybody on the outside, and then we had our private meeting inside, and then we also did something at the hotel on
34th Street.
34th Street.
Yeah.
You know, we had a press conference there because now the press was interested, and, you know, and they're not invited to our family cipher. So, you know, they created a little seminar or a little setting where we could all speak our view and let people know what it was. Or y'all beefing with KRS and such and such. And my thing in my mind is we're a movement, and they are a rap group. There is no beef. You feel me? It was no Temple of Hip Hop to say Temple of Hip Hop and Black Watch or whatever. It was BDP, and Black Watch had something to say to him to say, we appreciate you, but we need you more for the people before you go to that tier. Right. And it wasn't communicated properly. Right. So me being young and arrogant at the time and lyrical, like, you know, if the elder said that, I'm a pit bull for the movement. I'm freedom or death. If that's who you want, okay, look, KRS, you must learn this, that, and the other. Swimming in the books ain't given. Scales of the black man, ways in the living. Real deal. They only took the you must learn and ooh, but they didn't weigh the rest out. The math is there. Right. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, now that cats are listening more lyrically, I think they'll understand more of where Grand Verb was coming from. Right. You know, and what I was contributing to the X Clan and the movement. We were trying to extract ego, but, you know, emceeing is an ego-based and ego-driven science. You know, I'm bad. My crew is the best. You know, this, that, and the other. You can't take that from the game. But you can impress, like, you know, I'm of solid mind. I'm of strong spirit. This is the principles of how I follow. You see the difference of how we use that ego in a positive.
Yeah, I mean, conscious people like myself, I didn't take it like he was dissing KRS and calling him out, calling him a punk, or not calling him real. I took it like the way the brother said that, you know what, Black Watch is out in the streets visibly. They're talking to the youth and saying, listen, you don't gotta do this gangbanging. You don't have to smoke this crack. You don't have to be out there robbing people. You know, there's another way. You know, and they weren't talking to them nicely. They were coming at them like, look, we out here. You're going to have to deal with us. Yeah. Whereas in, like he said, KRS was, you know, he had his crew, the BDP crew, but he was not, like you said, talking really so much conscious lyrics. He's talking more what's going on, the state of, you know, being black in the Bronx and being black in you know, New York City and everything like that. So that's the way I took it. It was, they're like, listen, you know, you need to do more than just talk about it. You need to be about it, you know.
And Zulu Nation approached it like KRS was one of their champions. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Imagine if Chris had helmed Zulu Nation like how Bambaataa does lyrically. Right. Yeah. And that's where I was coming from. To say, wait a minute, you know, this crew and everything, Zulu Nation treats you like they're Achilles, homie, like you the master warrior. Right. This is your calling to run that movement. You know what I'm saying? But he had other plans. You know, you can't tell no man what to do. Right. Temple of Hip Hop was in his head to get done at one time, and nobody knew that. Right. But that's what it evolved to. Definitely. You feel me? Mm-hmm. That's what the elders saw in him. The elders saw, like, well, why is that young man not running the Zulu Nation with his voice, like how you do with the Black Watch? Yeah. Let's have a conversation with him. See if you can shake the tree a little bit. Right.
And Willie D, who used to be on stage with him rhyming, was a member of Zulu Nation as well. So KRS always had ties to it, and like you said, Professor X always had ties to Bambaataa because of, Black Watts, Sonny Carson, and being at the Latin Quarters with Paradise.
Yeah, the elders, Master York and Alambe Brath.
Yes.
A lot of elders. Bam was study, building with people of caliber and high knowledge. That's why you see so many shifts in the Zulu Nation, because he was like, I learned something new, let me share it. I learned something new, let me share it. You know what I'm saying? But it's unfortunate that the masses that they had, you can't give that kind of high information out all the time.
Right.
Sometimes it fries people wig. You know what I'm saying? It fries people wig.
Bam was on Hot 97, and they were going crazy up there because every week, on every Friday, he was dropping knowledge along with the music, edutainment, to borrow KRS phrase, and the Hot 97 couldn't deal with it, so they got him off the air because it was just too much for them.
Yeah, man.
And like I said, and everybody was tuning in. Every artist of that era in the 90s was tuning in and listening, and trying to see what he was going to say, and a couple of the other brothers that was up there. It was, like I said, it was a powerful time.